The first international human rights treaty that protects women access and their right to safe abortion is the International Covenant on Civilian and Political Rights. So for example, if you're a woman and if you cannot access abortion, you will have to go through unsafe abortion. One of the options that you will pick, because you don't want to keep the baby, you will go through unsafe abortion. And if you go through unsafe abortion, you can have risk on your life. Some women, because they undergo unsafe abortion, they can die out of it. So it's violating the right to life. So it's really important that one of the options that women go through is unsafe abortion. It's violating the right to life, and the right to life is protected under Article 6 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. The other option that women will go through, if they don't go through unsafe abortion, they don't have the choice. They keep the fetus, and then they have to raise the child. So under international human rights law, it amounts to involuntary servitude, which is forbidden under Article 8 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. What we understand by involuntary servitude, it's when a woman is forced to keep the children. So it's not her will. No, she's doing it against her will. So, and she has to serve the child. She has to raise children. She has to carry a fetus for 9 months that she does not want to carry, and then she has to raise the children that she does not want to raise because she didn't have the choice. So it's called involuntary servitude. It's comparable to modern slavery, like women are forced to an obligation that they don't want to, and so it's violating Article 8 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, because Article 8 says that women cannot be put in position of slavery, and they cannot be put in position of servitude. So it's really important for people to understand that if a woman don't have access to safe abortion, which is the human right to access safe abortion, they will undergo either unsafe abortion, it's violating their right to life because they can die out of it, or they will be forced to keep the children, which is violating the free choice, the free will, and they will put in the situation of involuntary servitude. So this is really important for people to understand how not allowing women to access safe abortion is violating the international human rights. The second convention that is really important in the protection of women's rights and also in the protection of women to access safe abortion is the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Violence Against Women. And so the CEDAW committee, which is the treaty body that is ensuring that UN member states are respecting international human rights law, the CEDAW committee has confirmed that when women are denied access to safe abortion, it's a form of violence against women because they are humiliated and their mental health is being impacted. So it's a form of violence against women. It's also discrimination against women because they don't have the free choice to decide for their life. So there's a discrimination against women, forcing them to keep the child. It can also amount to a situation of torture, of inhuman treatment, because again, there's a huge impact on the mental health of women. So it's really important for everyone in Thailand to understand that safe abortion is a human right. And if we don't allow women to access safe abortion, if the Thai government does not provide the right to women to access safe abortion, they are violating women's rights. They are violating their right to life. They are violating their right to have to decide on their own, to have the free choice over their body and over their life. And they are violating, they are putting them in a situation of gender violence and gender discrimination. I think that what the Thai government is trying to do, and also the network of doctors, they're trying to make the international community think that, wow, there's progress in Thailand. We are reviewing the abortion law. We're going to allow a woman to abort within 12 weeks. But the process that it's being done, it's actually not following international human rights standards. When you respect women's rights to access abortion, it should never be under the penal code. The fact that the law, it's under the penal code, makes abortion still a crime. If abortion was truly legal, and if your will is really to allow women to access abortion, then it should not be under the penal code. It should be fully decriminalized. It should never be a crime. So if Thailand thinks that they are making progress, they're not making progress. If Thailand was really making progress, then abortion should be fully decriminalized. Article 301 should not exist. Nothing should be under the penal code. It should be a separate law. It should be a standalone policy. It should be the standalone legislation. And when people are saying, oh, Thailand is discussing an abortion law, no, Thailand is not discussing an abortion law right now. Thailand is amending the penal code because abortion is still a crime. So it's really important for people to realize abortion is still a crime and there's no progress because women can still be put in jail if they want to undergo abortion after 12 weeks. So the first thing to remember is that there's no progress because abortion is still a crime. It should never be put under the penal code. It should always be developed as a separate standalone policy, the abortion bill. Or if your country has a health code, it should be under the health code, like in France, for example. In France, women have the right to access safe abortion protected under the health code. And the second point is that the law should respect women's sexual and reproductive health, so a separate law, and the law should also respect women's free choice. It should be on the demand of women. It should be women deciding on their own for their body and for the future. It should not depend on the decision of doctors, because the way that the committee right now in the parliament is discussing the amendment to the penal code under Article 305, they are developing a lot of new conditions to allow abortion, but the doctor is the one deciding for women. But since when our lives should be in the hands of doctors? Who are they to decide for the lives of women? Thailand is part of the United Nations. Thailand is part of the international community. It means that now that Thailand is part of the United Nations and Thailand has ratified the International Human Rights Treaty, Thailand has international legal obligations to respect those international human rights treaties. Thailand also has the obligation to pass legislation based on evidence, not based on old public morals. The situation right now in Thailand is that the law is being developed not based on evidence, not based on women's choice, but based on old public morals. And the people in the committee, the people discussing the bill, are not necessarily young people, are not necessarily people listening to young women, are not necessarily people listening to what women want. They are people who have been in those positions for many years with their old public morals. And I don't think it's fair to always use for them to use the religion as an excuse, because a law should never be developed based on the political, social, and the religious pressure. A law should always be based and informed by evidence and women. And what is very sad right now for Thailand is that we are in 2021. And why is Thailand passing laws as if we were still in the 1950s? We are in 2021 where we have groups like yours, like Tam Tam, with evidence from the ground. So where you are in a country where everybody's using internet, where people have access to their phones, where people can call Tam Tam, you have data through your hotline, you have data through your own research. You know what women want. You know that women need to access abortion up to 24 weeks. You have all the information. You have the scientific information, you have the ground data. The government should be actually grateful to you to produce this data for them to be able to pass informed legislation. Instead of passing legislation informed by the information from the ground, they are passing legislation based on public morals and old public morals. Under international human rights law, you are born with human rights, but human rights are inherent to you the day you are born, at birth, not before. So before that, you're a fetus. You don't have human rights. You only have human rights the day you are born. And that's being guaranteed by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and that's being guaranteed by all international human rights treaties that Thailand has ratified. So I don't even understand where is the evidence coming from when they are saying that baby has rights before they are born. Before they are born, babies do not exist. They are fetus. You are a baby the day you are born, and you have human rights the day you are born. So before that, it's women's choice over the body.